Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to continue to talk about reproduction, specifically asexual reproduction. So yesterday when I introduced the TIC to you, we talked about how the state of Texas wants you to know the difference between sexual and asexual reproduction and what are the pros and cons, what are the good and bad things about each of those types of reproduction. I'm gonna jump down to where it says asexual reproduction, and this is a type of reproduction where you're making another organism, but all you need is one parent. And you see in that example, the one parent divides and then it makes two. So the new daughter cells have the exact same genes as the parent cell had. And remember, the word daughter cell doesn't mean that they're female. That's just the word that they use in science to refer to them. So on this new sheet on page 26, we're going to take notes about asexual reproduction. So first we're going to list some facts, and then we're going to do a T-chart with pros and cons. So the first fact is that in asexual reproduction, one cell becomes two. And you can see in this example, the one cell has kind of pinched itself in the middle, divided, and now you have two daughter cells. But there is no change in the chromosomes. So whatever the genes are in that one parent cell is exactly the genes that the daughter cells are going to have. This is also the form of reproduction that many of the more simpler organisms on our planet have, like single-celled organisms. But there are many plants as well that grow by asexual reproduction. If you have a grandma like my mom that goes to the store, like to Lowe's or a nursery, she'll sometimes just pinch off, cut off a little piece of a plant, and then she'll take it home. She'll put it in the dirt, and she's got a really green thumb, and it grows. So she started another plant at her house that's a clone of the one and we always tell her she stole it. So some of the words I want you to remember when you're thinking about asexual reproduction, some of these key words are faster, easier, and clones. So you'll be drawing a T-chart. Make sure you leave a little bit of space between where it says keywords and the horizontal line. And on the left side, we're going to be writing what are some of the pros or the advantages or the good things about sexual reproduction. On the right side, you're going to write what are some of the cons, or another word for that is disadvantages or the bad thing about asexual reproduction. So let's start with the pros. What are some of the advantages? What are some of the good things about asexual reproduction in organisms? Okay, so the first one says you only need one parent. So it's going to take less time for an organism to make more of themselves if they don't have to go out and find a mate. They can, whenever the time is right, that cell or that organism is going to make another one of itself. It doesn't have to spend all that energy going out there looking for a mate. The offspring are made really quickly. The cell divides, and then it divides again, and before you know it, they've produced a huge amount of cells. If it's a plant, usually this type of reproduction takes a lot less time than growing from a seed, which is a sexual reproduction. And the last bullet I have under pros or advantages is that it's less complicated. There are no reproductive system. There's no, the gestation period, how long an organism, like an animal, is pregnant, or making seeds or bulbs or anything else. So much less complicated, faster. But there are disadvantages to asexual reproduction as well. So the first one, the first bullet is there's no genetic variation. That means that that parent that split itself and made clones of itself, they're all the same. Their genes are all the same. So, there's no what we would call genetic variation, no genetic differences. One of the things that can happen because it's so easy to replicate itself, to reproduce like this, is that you can get a lot of organisms growing very fast. They're all just dividing themselves and making more and more. And when organisms become overpopulated, one of the things that can happen is that they run out of food or water. So not always a good thing. And the last one says environmental changes can quickly lead to extinction because of no adaptation. So if there's suddenly a cold front and this bacteria can only live when it's 90 degrees, well, it's going to kill the bacteria and it's going to kill all of it because it all has the same genes. This is the same thing. When there's no genetic variation, when something bad happens, everything that has the same genes is going to die. So again, in sexual reproduction, there are definitely some good or some advantages to it. Like you only need one parent. You don't have to be out there looking for a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You can just say, hey, I'm going to divide and make more of myself. So you can produce your offspring really quickly, and it's less complicated. No pregnancies, no seeds, all done very quickly. But again, the disadvantages is everybody's the same. So if one disease can kill one of these cells, it can kill all of those cells. But it can grow so fast as well that you run out of resources. And if there's an environmental change, it can kill everything as well. So besides adding these notes, I want to make sure that you copy, update these pieces on your Venn diagram. And we added no genetic variation, no difference, simple single-celled organisms, and quicker to reproduce. So they're both some of the pros and some of the cons in there. So go ahead and go back to page 25 and update this section for asexual. And I have a short video I'm going to show you after this.